The Platform Sutra of the Sixth Patriarch states, "In the beginning, delusion is ordinary beings. In the end, realization is Buddha. Initially, abiding in stillness is affliction. Ultimately, transcending stillness is Bodhi." This passage by Master Yunju reveals a fundamental issue in spiritual practice: the subtle balance between attachment and letting go. The 10 characters succinctly capture the two major traps on the path of practice: clinging to afflictions and falling into the extreme of nihilistic emptiness. Attachment to all worldly things entangles the mind with afflictions. Indulging in the void of ignorance leads to falling into the extremes of nihilism and annihilation. The most famous verse by the Sixth Patriarch Yunju: "Bodhi originally has no tree. The bright mirror also has no stand. Originally there is not a single thing. Where can any dust be attracted?" It directly points to the state of the one mind that is not two. However, when confronted with the seemingly contradictory challenges of practice, how can ordinary beings find the just right balance between existence and non-existence, allowing Bodhi to naturally manifest? During the Dali era of the Tang dynasty, there was a young monk named Faming, born into a scholarly family. By the age of 15, he could recite the entire Avatamsaka Sutra, and at 20, he took ordination and became a monk, mastering the Tripitaka and the 12 divisions of the scriptures. Although deeply knowledgeable, Faming's mind was always troubled by an unsolvable knot. On this day, with spring rain drizzling gently, Faming walked alone along the mountain path leading to Yunju Mountain. He heard that Chan Master Yunju was a great contemporary patriarch of Chan Buddhism, deeply versed in the mind method of Mazu Daoyi, and was determined to seek his guidance. Halfway up the mountain, as the rain began to lessen, Faming encountered an elderly monk with white hair, laboriously carrying a burden of firewood up the mountain. The old monk's robes were soaked through, covered in mud and water, yet his expression was serene and his steps steady. Faming quickly stepped forward to offer assistance. "Master, let me help you." The venerable monk smiled and nodded in gratitude, saying, "Thank you, young master. I am old and feeble, truly finding it difficult to manage." Two people carried a pole together, slowly making their way up the mountain. Along the way, the elderly monk asked, "Little master, you are going up the mountain alone. Where are you headed?" "I went to Yunju Temple to visit Chan Master Daoyin." Faming answered honestly. A glimmer of wisdom flashed in the old monk's eyes as he asked why I wanted to see him. Faming unintentionally voiced the confusion within his heart. "I have diligently studied the scriptures for many years, yet I always feel something is missing. Observing the fellow practitioners around me, some are attached to worldly activities, while others are immersed in emptiness and tranquility. Both appear to be somewhat biased. In the discourse, it is said that initially one contemplates the extreme of stillness as excessive sensual desire, and later contemplates the extreme of detachment as supreme enlightenment. Ultimately, how can one achieve a state of neither attachment nor emptiness?" The old monk smiled and said, "The young master's question is very good. Few young people can grasp the core of this issue. I happen to be going to Yunju Temple to deliver firewood. How about we go together?" Passing through a bamboo forest, shrouded in mist, an ancient temple stands built against the mountain, faintly visible. That is Yunju Temple. The old monk pointed ahead and said, when we reached the temple gate, he put down the bundle of firewood and said to Faming, "You wait here for a moment. I will go and notify them." Having spoken, he then carried the bundle of firewood and walked into the temple. Faming sat quietly on the stone steps outside the monastery gate, shaking the rainwater from his body as he waited patiently. Before long, a young novice monk of about 12 or 13 years old ran out, bowed to him, and said, "Master, please come inside." Faming followed the young novice monk through several corridors to the main hall. The hall was brightly illuminated, and the old monk who had just been gathering firewood was seated solemnly in the principal seat, his demeanor dignified. Feiming then suddenly realized that the companion he had been traveling with all along was none other than Master Yunju, whom he had been earnestly seeking. The Zen master looked at Feiming's surprised expression and smiled gently. Feiming, do you still wish to pay a visit to Yunju? Feiming promptly knelt down and kowtowed, saying, Your disciple is dull-witted and has failed to recognize the master. I humbly ask for the master's forgiveness. Master Daoying then rose. When the karmic conditions arise, a natural encounter occurs. The issue you mentioned is precisely the key in practice. After today's rain, the courtyard is covered with fallen leaves. Please help me sweep the leaves first, and after finishing, we could discuss the Dharma. Although Feiming was doubtful, he respectfully accepted the bamboo broom handed by the Zen master and walked into the courtyard to begin sweeping. After the spring rain, the fallen leaves in the courtyard stood damply on the ground, making them not easy to sweep away. Feiming concentrated fully on sweeping, not daring to slacken even for a moment. While sweeping, Feiming pondered his own issues. Clinging gives rise to afflictions. Non-attachment seizes the obstinate emptiness. These 8 characters were like a key that seemed capable of unlocking the door to the Dharma, yet could not turn the lock of his heart. He recalled the words of the 6th patriarch Huaining. Bodhi originally has no tree. The bright mirror also has no stand. Originally there is not a single thing. Where can dust alight? If originally there is not a single thing, then where do afflictions arise? How does Bodhi manifest? Unconsciously, his eyes glistened like a river, and Dharma Ming had already swept the entire courtyard spotless. He put down the broom and returned to the main hall, where he saw the Zen master personally lighting the lamp. Did you gain any insight from today's karmic cleansing? The Chan master inquired. Feiming respectfully replied, I, your disciple, have only done my best to clear away the fallen leaves and dare not entertain frivolous thoughts. The Zen master nodded and smiled, saying exactly so. When you are fully focused on sweeping the floor, is there a thought in your mind that I am the one sweeping? Feiming pondered for a moment, saying that at first there was, but later he forgot it completely, becoming wholly absorbed in sweeping away the fallen leaves. Then, when you're attentively sweeping the floor, is your mind attached or unattached? Feiming hesitated, and the disciple did not know. The Zen master spoke calmly and unhurriedly. When you sweep the floor with full attention, you neither cling to existence nor non-existence. You simply do what needs to be done in the present moment with suchness. This is precisely the state of non-dualistic single-mindedness. Feiming seemed to be in deep thought. The Buddha said that genuine practice is neither about deliberately pursuing something nor consciously renouncing something, but about naturally living in the present moment. Explaining with a smile and a nod, you have already begun to understand. Consider, from where do afflictions arise? Feiming replied, afflictions arise from attachment. What then is the root of attachment? Discriminative consciousness is the attachment to existence and non-existence. The Zen master continued to inquire. If attachment to existence leads to afflictions and attachment to non-existence leads to falling into emptiness, then is non-attachment the ultimate goal of practice? Feiming pondered for a long time. If one clings to non-attachment, isn't that still a form of attachment? A gleam of approval flashed in the Zen master's eyes. Well said. The so-called non-attachment is not a state deliberately pursued, but a natural condition. Just as when you were concentrating on sweeping just now, you naturally forgot the thought of, I am sweeping. At that moment, you were non-attachment. The Zen master took out an incense stick, lit it, and placed it into the incense burner. As he observed the incense burning, he asked, does the flame truly exist or not? Feiming gazed at the burning incense and replied, it both exists and does not exist. The flame changes every moment. It is neither permanent and unchanging, nor completely annihilated and non-existent. Very well, the Blessed One praised and said, when the incense ashes fall, does the incense exist or not exist? The form of the incense has changed, but the essence of the incense has not disappeared. It has merely transformed into another form. The Blessed One nodded with satisfaction. This is what the Dharma describes as neither arising nor ceasing. The relationship between afflictions and bodhi is like that of incense and incense ashes. Seemingly opposed on the surface, they are actually two sides of the same entity. The Vimalakirti Sutra states that afflictions are bodhi, samsara is nirvana. The two are originally one entity. It is only because sentient beings delude themselves with discrimination that afflictions and bodhi appear as separate. The Zen master picked up the teacup on the table, took a gentle sip, and said, "Look at this cup of tea. It is neither empty nor full." Depending on the moment, if the mind clings to the existence or non-existence of tea, it cannot savor the true taste of the tea. Only by not being attached to existence or non-existence can one truly enjoy the flavor of the tea. Practice is likewise so. When the Dharma becomes clear, one suddenly awakens. I understand that true non-dual single-mindedness is the wisdom of the middle way, transcending existence and non-existence. It does not cling to the cessation of afflictions, nor to the pursuit of bodhi. It simply abides truthfully in the present moment, and bodhi naturally manifests. The Zen master smiled and nodded, saying, "Well said." Those who are attached to eradicating afflictions constantly have the word affliction in their minds, thereby becoming entangled by afflictions themselves. Those who are attached to seeking bodhi constantly carry the word bodhi in their hearts, yet they are actually obstructed by bodhi itself. Only by being free from attachment and rigidity, and by adapting naturally to circumstances, can one attain undivided focused mind, and thus bodhi will naturally manifest. Late at night, the Zen master walked with Faming into the courtyard. Moonlight, like flowing water, spilled over the freshly swept courtyard. The distant mountain ridges appeared faint and obscure under the moonlight, while the wind rustled softly through the treetops. Look at this courtyard. During the day, the stones and fallen leaves cover the ground. Your mood is swept clean, and now it is already pure and tranquil. But tomorrow, the leaves on the tree will continue to fall. Are you troubled by this? Faming shook his head. No. Falling leaves are a natural phenomenon, and sweeping them is a daily task. There is no need to be troubled by it. The Zen master praised, saying, "This is the wisdom of non-attachment. Do not cling to the idea of leaves falling forever, nor cling to allowing the leaves to pile up. Simply follow the natural course and do what needs to be done. This is precisely the practice method of non-dual single-mindedness." The Zen master pointed to the locust tree under the moonlight, saying that the tree does not cling to the waxing and waning of its leaves and branches, yet it still undergoes the seasonal changes, full of vitality. Our mind should be like this as well. Unconsciously yet naturally, it can transform and adapt according to conditions, remaining free and unobstructed. Faming asked again, "So, in daily practice, how should we apply this wisdom of the middle way?" The Zen master gently patted Faming's shoulder and said, "Just like how you swept the fallen leaves today. When engaged in any activity, be fully focused, free from discrimination and attachment. This is the highest form of practice. When reciting sutras, do not cling to the words and sentences, but rather comprehend the underlying principle within the sutra. When meditating, do not cling to attaining samadhi. Instead, naturally abide in the present moment. When walking, do not cling to reaching the destination, but instead experience the solidity of each step." Faming seemed to be in deep thought. The meaning of the Buddha's teaching is that practice is not something special, but rather an attitude in everyday life. Exactly so, the Zen master nodded and said, "The Buddha once said, if one sees me in form or seeks me by sound, this person is following a wrong path. One cannot see the Tathagata. True practice does not lie in form, but in the mind's attitude. Regardless of what one does, as long as attachment does not arise in the mind and no discrimination is made, every action is practice, and every circumstance is the sacred ground. The wildness prevails as the moon climbs atop the treetops. The Zen master looked at Feiming's thoughtful expression and continued. Feiming is already well-versed in knowledge and proficient in the scriptures, which is a very good foundation. But remember, the scriptures are merely the finger pointing to the moon, not the moon itself. True Dharma is not found in words, but in the realization within the heart. Feiming respectfully asked, Master, I have another question. Since non-attachment is the natural state, why do we still need to practice? Why can't we just enter this state directly? The Zen master smiled and replied, Precisely because sentient beings have long been accustomed to attachment, practice is needed to eliminate this habit. Just like a mirror covered with dust, originally capable of reflecting all things, but temporarily losing its ability to reflect due to the layer of dust. Practice is like the process of polishing a mirror. When all dust is removed, the mirror naturally shines bright. So, what is the ultimate goal of practice? F.A. Ming continued to inquire. The master of Zen replied with a counter-question. If there is a goal, that too becomes a form of attachment. True practice has no goal. It is merely a return to one's original face. Just like the fallen leaves in this courtyard, they fall from the tree and return to the earth. This is a natural process that requires no deliberate striving. As night deepens, the temple bell tolls, reminding all that it is time to rest. The Zen master said to Feiming, It is getting late. You should go and rest first. Come find me again before descending the mountain tomorrow. The next morning, Feiming rose early, completed his morning ablutions, and then went to the meditation room of the Chan master. The Zen master was meditating in the courtyard when he saw Feiming approaching and gestured for him to sit down. Feiming, how did your contemplation go last night? The Zen master inquired. Feiming respectfully replied, I have pondered my master's teachings throughout the night and gained some understanding. I think that clinging to worldly afflictions and clinging to emptiness in the sense of prajna represent two extremes. One is attachment to all worldly phenomena, pursuing fame, profit, and desires, with a mind entangled in afflictions. The other is attachment to voidness, escaping reality, falling into nihilistic emptiness. True practice should follow the middle way, neither clinging to existence nor to non-existence, but abiding truthfully in the present moment. The Zen master smiled and nodded, saying, Well spoken. The middle way taught by the Buddha is precisely the wisdom that transcends the duality of existence and non-existence, neither biased nor partial, neither clinging nor detached. This is the true path of Bodhi. Feiming further asked, Then how can one truly achieve non-attachment and non-clumsiness with a mind that is not divided? The Zen master pointed to a cluster of bamboo in the courtyard, saying, Look at that bamboo. It appears fragile, yet it stands firm and unyielding amidst the wind and rain. This is because it neither resists forcefully nor yields weakly, but conforms to nature, harmonizing firmness and gentleness. Our mind should be like this, neither clinging to worldly things nor evading present responsibilities, but viewing all phenomena with equanimity, remaining unattached while adapting to circumstances, and unchanging while going along with conditions. Feiming suddenly realized clearly that the Buddha said the key to practice lies in balance. Balance is merely a superficial appearance. The essence lies in transcendence. The Zen master explained that true non-attachment is not the deliberate maintenance of balance, but the transcendence of the duality of existence and non-existence. Just like when you were sweeping the floor yesterday, neither clinging to existence nor non-existence, but fully focused on the present task, at that moment you were already experiencing the state of non-dual mind. The Zen master stood up and, accompanied by Feiming, walked to the pond in the courtyard. The water was clear, reflecting the blue sky and white clouds. The Zen master pointed to the reflection in the water and asked, You see the reflection in the water? Is it real? Flashing lights shaking their heads are not real. They are merely illusions. So is it false? Dharma Ming pondered for a moment and concluded that it cannot be said to be false, for it indeed exists, only manifesting in a different form. Indeed, the Zen master briefly explained that the reflection in the water is neither truly existent nor utterly non-existent. It is a phenomenon arising from dependent origination. All phenomena in the world are likewise. They are neither truly existent nor utterly non-existent, but arise from the confluence of causes and conditions. Understanding this point, one will not cling to existence, nor fall into emptiness, and naturally can attain the state of non-duality of the one mind. What suddenly came to Faming's mind? Is this not the principle described in the sutras, that form is emptiness, and emptiness is form? Exactly so. The Zen master nodded and said, form does not differ from emptiness. Emptiness does not differ from form. Form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. This is not an abstract theory, but a truth that we can experience every moment. Just like the reflection in the water, it is both form and emptiness, neither truly existent nor utterly non-existent. Faming asked again, then how can one maintain this awareness in daily life, without being deluded by phenomena or entangled in emptiness? The Zen master smiled and said, it's very simple. Do not deliberately pursue it. When you deliberately pursue mindfulness, you inadvertently fall into another form of attachment. As the sixth patriarch Huineng said, Bodhi originally has no tree. The bright mirror also has no stand. Fundamentally, there is not a single thing. Where can dust alight? As long as discrimination does not arise in the mind, it naturally remains in a state of awareness. The Zen master patted Faming on the shoulder, and Faming remembered the insights from that day. After returning, whether reciting sutras or meditating in Zen practice, do not become attached to the form, nor fall into the realm of space. As long as there is no discrimination arising in the heart, all actions are practice, and all environments are the field of the way. With reverent prostration, the disciple humbly receives the teachings. From now on, I will remember the admonition that clinging gives rise to afflictions, while non-attachment leads to the liberation of emptiness, and strive to practice the middle way wisdom of non-duality. The Zen master smiled and nodded. Good. Now you may descend the mountain. Remember, the essence of practice lies not on the mountain, but within your own heart. Whenever and wherever it may be, as long as one can remain unconscious and at ease with conditions, Bodhi naturally manifests. Bidding farewell to Master Yunju, Faming set out on his journey home. Although this trip to Yunju Mountain was brief, it afforded him valuable spiritual teachings. After returning to the monastery, Faming shared his insights with his fellow practitioners. He no longer clings to the words of the sutras, nor does he indulge in the state of emptiness and stillness. Instead, he sweeps the floor, carries water, recites scriptures, and meditates in daily life. Everything as usual, yet fundamentally different from before. One evening, Faming was cleaning the courtyard when a young monk approached him and asked with doubt, "Brother, I see you doing these mundane tasks every day, but seldom chanting sutras or meditating. How can you cultivate the way like this?" Faming smiled and replied, "Practice is not about form, but about the state of mind. When sweeping the floor, focus solely on sweeping. When carrying water, focus solely on carrying water. This is the best practice of cultivation." The young monk was puzzled, for the sutras state that one must diligently practice, sever defilements, and attain right enlightenment, all of which require dedicated cultivation. Faming put down the broom and pointed at a pine tree in the courtyard. "Look at that pine tree. It cannot grow like ordinary trees, yet it becomes taller day by day. It cannot absorb sunlight and rain, yet its branches flourish and leaves thrive. Its growth process is the most natural practice of cultivation. We should also be like this, not clinging to the cessation of afflictions, nor clinging to supreme enlightenment, but simply living naturally, and enlightenment will naturally manifest." The young monk pondered deeply, and the senior brother meant that cultivation lies in daily life. "Exactly so," Faming nodded. The Platform Sutra of the Sixth Patriarch states, "The Dharma in the world does not depart from the world's firmness. Departing from the world's profound bodhi is like a prisoner's strangulation." True cultivation is not about fleeing the world, but about awakening within the world. As long as there is no attachment or discrimination arising in the mind, all actions are practice, and all circumstances are the sacred place of the way. A few years later, Faming also became a deeply respected Chan master. Whenever disciples inquired about the method of practice, he would always smile and say, "Clinging to life leads to vexations. Not clinging leads to overcoming stubborn emptiness. Neither attachment nor dullness, with a mind undivided, Bodhi naturally manifests." This simple teaching has guided countless practitioners onto the middle way towards liberation. Faming himself always cherished that dusk after the rain, remembering the teachings of Master Yunju, and practiced unconsciously and wholeheartedly the wisdom of loyalty in his daily life. Whether in favorable circumstances or adversity, he can treat all with equanimity, undisturbed by external conditions, untroubled by internal states, living freely in the present moment, enjoying true liberation and freedom. At this subtle balance point between attachment and non-attachment, Faming found his own path to Bodhi, neither clinging to worldly phenomena nor evading worldly responsibilities, neither pursuing the state of emptiness and tranquility nor indulging in sensory pleasures. Instead, he abides truthfully in the present moment, responding to conditions and transforming beings with ease and unobstructed freedom. This is precisely the faithful wisdom taught by the Buddha, and it is the ultimate goal that all practitioners should pursue, the true inner freedom and liberation.